Hello.
Hello, I cannot see you. I only listen to you.
Oh, okay. I will step out
That is
and come back
good.
again, okay?
Okay, waiting for you.
So you can make me a moderator as well, otherwise it won't be possible.
Okay, wonderful. With patience, hello everyone. Welcome into the space, into the Contemplative Hearth room. Welcome, Liana, welcome back. Now I see you. I see your face. Welcome. Still waiting for the people to come. And I was just welcoming. Yes, it's afternoon here in Romania, where both of us are. A beautiful spring that is coming very quickly. Let's see if it is stable. However, there are beautiful days, sunny days, very warm, unusually warm. And yeah, hello to everybody. Good morning or good afternoon or good evening or good night, wherever you are from. I pass it to you, Liana, before doing a small attunement as we used to do. I pass the mic to you for your welcoming message.
Thank you. It's good to be here and welcome back with a new vibe. I'm happy we are going to contemplate this series. Like we continue to contemplate about the spiritual ego, and we go deeper and deeper, and we unravel all kinds of perspectives. And I'm really happy that we get to do that. And I welcome everyone who's present with us right now, and all the people who will connect through the replay. Hopefully, they will also be able to receive the fruits of this contemplation. And I will just pass you the mic so you can make the attunement, and maybe we'll just share afterwards a bit of this space and the material we're contemplating today. And I say a big hi and hug to our former co-hosts. Maybe we'll have them again with us. So Carrie and Joshua, who have contemplated with us before. So we'll be beginning soon the next three ways in which the spiritual ego expresses itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Liana. So beautiful. And it's true, so many aspects of spiritual ego. I think there are 18. And it's really challenging. And I have revisited the video. I have listened a bit today, and I could notice that Richard himself was a bit challenged and tired while he was passing from one aspect to another. And it's true that some of them are very similar, so similar. But I have always been so surprised while listening to him how much clarity he has got while he was explaining each of them. So yeah, let's do a bit this exercise of going inside. We more and more do this, and we used to, let's say, sophisticate, but at the same time simplify the way we are doing this turning inwards along our discovery or self-discovery path. And sometimes we do this turning inwards just by sitting or by laying down. But some other times we just discover that we are able to do it while we are walking, or while we are driving even, or while we are just with people around, but we can do this easier and easier. So wherever you are, just invite you to make this exercise, to do this exercise, to turn inwards, and in a very, very simple way, to just connect to the spring of life. This is how it comes to me in this moment, spring of life that we have inside. So let's connect with this spring, and let's connect with how this little flow of water, very crystalline water and very pure water coming from the source, is just pouring through you. And let's just enjoy how it feels inside. So maybe some of you would like to just sit near this spring. Some others, maybe you feel to just enter into it and just swim, or just let that spring to wash you, to clean you, to caress you. Some others, you may prefer to listen to its sounds, and to just let those sounds, those frequencies, crystalline frequencies, to purify your being. So however you feel to connect with this spring inside, I invite you to do it. Hey, and to just feel it there inside. Because in moments like these, we just realize that we are that spring, we are this flow. And we are able to melt with this freshness that is coming continuously in this spring that comes continuously inside us, and then it goes outwards and comes back again with refreshed energy. And so let's enjoy the flow. Let's enjoy the freshness. Let's enjoy the surrender, because only when we surrender fully, utterly to this flow, we discover that we become more stable, more trustful, and more connected with our real self. And also the connection with the others outside, and all forms of life outside, we perceive in a different way, because the same spring, the same torus, the same flow goes outside towards the others. So actually the frequency from which we connect to the outer world changes. And as we do these kind of exercises more and more, we can do it when we are alone, and we can do it when we are in fields like this. We discover step by step that actually we change the perception towards life in general, but we change the perception towards relationship. And also our inner discernment becomes more clear, and helps us to distinguish the frequencies, and helps us anchor us inside us, and we become more able to discern whether those energies are for us helpful, and some others may be not so helpful. And we discover that we start to see, for example, from the outside, coming towards us from the flow, things that we are not open to receive anymore sometimes, and we may be surprised. But this is coming as well with that freshness, because we are becoming more and more present, and we are becoming more and more intimate with ourselves, more and more honest with ourselves, and also with the others. And some of the people may be upset from outside, considering that we don't receive them well, or as we used to receive them in the past. However, if we feel well and peaceful and anchored inside, we realize that actually our discernment and our discrimination is what helps us to filter what is good for us and what is not. So this is what I invite you to just remember in these moments, that while we are doing steps in this self-discovery path, things like these happen. Exactly like in the topic that we are going to continue today. These lines are very fine and very subtle, and many times we don't realize the trick and the trap where we may fall or not. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here. And so happy that we are again together. So happy to see your smiling faces. So happy, Joshua, to see you here and to see that you are on the stage. Wow, I'm so glad. Welcome. And welcome to everybody, to Bob, Soto, to Olivia, to Christina, to Maria, to Yvonne. And if there are some other people to whom I cannot see, because sometimes this platform is playful, and sometimes I cannot see all the people who are present, please forgive me. And please write on the chat or come to the stage to share. So thank you so much. Today we are going to continue. Today we are going to share about other three aspects of the spiritual ego manifestation. And we are going to talk about the fantasist, the savior, and the narcissist. And I don't know how you feel. Liana, would you like to open with the fantasist? Do you feel okay to do it yourself? Or maybe Joshua, if you want to open it, I invite you to do so. So the flow is open. And if not, I can do it. But I felt to ask to you. So I can pass the mic. And anyway, Joshua, I would pass it to you to welcome the people as you wish.
Well, thank you. I just, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, regardless of where you are on this beautiful blue jewel. And, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And, I think I will pass it to someone else that would like to start and kick things off. But thank you for the welcome, and welcome everyone.
Thank you, Joshua, so much. And I see Carrie as well. Oh, I'm so happy that both of you are here on the stage together with Liana and myself, because both Joshua and Carrie have been hosts for this space in the previous meetings. So I'm so glad to have you, Carrie, as well. I pass the mic to you for your welcoming message to the people.
Hello and good morning, everybody. Hello, Claudia. Good to see you, Joshua, again, and Liana. I wasn't sure if I could join because I'm just getting ready to go on a road trip back to the mountains. I'm in the city today, so I am still here, so I'm able to join and have a connection, and I'm very grateful for that. But I came just kind of blundered in here. Wasn't sure if I would be able to join, so I'm very happy to be here. And I just want to provide my energy to the room in this ongoing healing process that we all are going through, and how wonderful it is to have that introduction with that vision of that inner spring, because that has been the wellspring from which we all can return to. I am reminded about how when we are actually born, we are born with our original water, which is the essence of essentially who we are. And we know so much how the water is being able to be programmed by our own intentionality, and throughout our pathway in this life, the waters in our body get influenced by all of the identifications and projections from all of the world, and we take those on. But it's important to remember that there is within ourselves the original water source, our original memory, that contains all of the necessary information that we require about the core essential being that we are. And that is a very unique thing. And let's just celebrate in that and be able to feel freedom in expressing that originality, that core essence of who we are. And, you know, in that way, this attunement, this practice provides us with this ability to just be able to harmonize more and more with the natural rhythms of the planet, with the natural essence of who we all are. And for me, I mean, I don't know what else would be a description of heaven on earth, but to witness this beingness, this presence in complete and total harmony. And I believe this is where humanity is going. This is where the universe is driving us, into this core essence of who we are. And this is a very good place to be able to provide that discernment about where is my trauma showing and where is my ego showing, and to be able to have that discernment about, is my sharing for me or for the other? And so that is something that I've been contemplating deeply, about just that discernment about what's coming from this young child that's not seen or has been abandoned, or is it like this true essence of being able to share, to be able to harmonize with the whole? So thank you. And that's what my introduction is for everybody today. And thank you for everybody for being here. And thank you for having me. Thank you.
Beautiful, so beautiful, Joshua and Carrie, so beautiful. And I love, Carrie, that you brought this, for me, feminine energy, you know, this, because now as well the sun is in Jinky 22, so this divine feminine is pouring through all of us so much. So yeah, it's I think it's gonna be 60 minutes of really amazingly open and transparent sharings. And oh yes, so let's see, dears, how the transmission will guide us. Diana, how are you? I still cannot see you, so the platform is playing again. If you are here, just let me know if you want to open with a fantasist, or I can do it. Tell us something if you are here.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you are. Okay.
So funny. I went out, so you saw me. I went out again because the Clubhouse told me Carrie was in the house and I couldn't see him. And I said, no, I have to invite him up so to make him a moderator. So I stepped out again, and maybe this is when I became invisible to you.
So great, graceful, so graceful. You are invisible.
But I'm so happy to have Joshua and Carrie here. I'm so happy, Carrie, that you managed to find this window of opportunity to join us. And I wish you to have a beautiful journey in the mountains. And Joshua, so good to feel your presence too. Yes, it's thank you, Claudia, for the attunement. It's really beautiful. You've mentioned Venus, and when you told us about the spring, I felt the energy of the SQ coming through, you know, that coming out, like that burst of love that's just coming through our hearts. And I find it very similar with what Carrie was sharing. In the end, when we manage to touch our essence and just freely express it in the world, I think that will bring the harmony. And I think, and I feel this resonance between the spring as a season and spring as this primordial water in us that's always there, refreshing constantly and helping us gain clarity in our very selves and in our very souls. And thank you for bringing that frequency in. So a bit of about the spiritual fantasist. It's one of my favorites because it's the one that somehow I'm most challenged with. I think I've mentioned that even in our first encounter. There was when we were talking about the spiritual up and go, the escapist, and it's a bit similar. I think some of them have areas of intersection. It's about always being connected to and talking about and aligning with. I don't know, Richard was saying about the 24 strand DNA and the 24 chakra system and being, I don't know, Mary Magdalene or Merlin in another life, and just using this as things in which your life is based and your life experience is based. So something that somehow it's out of this dimension and you're trying to live your life according to these things that are not actually in our reality yet. And for me is the most challenging because he also mentions, Richard, about the magical thinking. Like there is a kind of a portal that is open through a blend of intuition and imagination. And I'm a Taurus. So for me, things I could feel and I could touch and I could step on and I could build with my own hands were, the reality, and still are. I'm much more connected to and grounding in the physical reality than other people. But there is in me a longing towards this dimension of what is actually, how are these people connecting with these other realms and other possibilities, and how can they become real for them? How are they so real for them? And this one intrigued me a lot. The spiritual fantasist. I know it's an extreme, like you can become delusional in it, and you actually lose contact with reality, and it could be a way to bypass what you're supposed to live and heal and harmonize. And at the same time, there is an aspect of me who would like to be able to access more of that, like maybe in terms of the gene keys would be more of the Siddhic energy, more of the other potential and portals that can be open. And of course, our imagination might give them a certain interpretation or storyline or something like that. So yeah, this is my take on the spiritual fantasist, and I'm really curious about what you have to share about this. So thank you for being here and enriching the field. And of course, anyone in the public is invited up on the stage whenever you feel like, sharing something. Thank you. Passing the mic.
Thank you. So beautiful, Liana. Thank you for everything that you touched. And yeah, it's really so tricky because, oh my God, being lost in the world of unicorns, how Richard says, or being lost in the world of potentials, because there are people, and maybe it happens to each of us. I don't know, just because our inner senses develop, They grow, they expand, and we become to trust, and we start to trust in them. And there are moments and interactions, experiences when we detect potentials in a relationship, in everything. And sometimes we get lost in those potentials, and we lose the patience, and we forget that, as Richard says, there is trauma and there are wounds, and we forget that we need time for the healing of those. And the tricky part in this fantasist, in the manifestation of the spiritual fantasist, what I sensed when Richard was talking was not that, when it happens to us, is that we ignore those. We ignore that people may have, or us, we can have these traumas and the wounds, but we don't let time and space for the healing. So we are just accelerating. So it's like we want the shortcut. And it's very tricky because it comes with this inner trust, and it comes with also with intuition, that the healing is already there and that the wound is already healed. And it's not like this. We need to really consider also the left brain. So this balance, actually what I sensed from each and every of the aspects revealed by Richard in this video, is that it invites, invites us to go to the center. So really to let ourselves time to go to the center. And for me, just to share from my experience, from my life until now, it was my ex-husband who helped me a lot to go to the center. Because it's true, he was, and he is, maybe he continues to be, I really don't know, but while I was in relationship with him, he was very intellectual. So he trusted a lot his intellect. And many times it was such a discomfort for me. But after we crossed the situation, at the end, I was just looking at how I reacted and how I behaved. And I was looking to, let's say, the result of that situation for me. And I realized that he helped me a lot, actually, to go to the center. Because I had this tendency to let myself be lost in those high frequencies and in those maybe imaginations and in that inner flight, and I was forgetting about the reality and about the other's wound. There are people who don't like or are not prepared to show that they are wounded. They want to keep their wounds there, and we just suppose that they don't see that they are wounded, but they see. However, they prefer to keep it and to contain it inside, So he helped me a lot to understand that in some moments he preferred not to show, even to myself, his wound. And it was such a learning for me. And of course, I continue to learn about this situation. So thank you so much, Liana, for the share. And my invitation is open, yes, for any of you who would like to just share from your stories, from the traps that maybe you have seen in your life. Thank you so much. I don't know if you, Joshua, Carey, feel to just add something, share something, and the stage is open for anybody. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, when I was contemplating the spiritual fantasist, it's the relationship between the fantasist and the escapist seems very intricately woven together. So I started to really feel into what would be the core thread of the fantasist, and what was just being spoken to about the wounding and the not willing to engage with it directly, seems to be one of the common threads there. And it's this escalation of everything that we're bringing in, everything that we're perceiving, because the journey itself, when we're unlocking, these new aspects to our perception and to our thinking and to our experience as beings in a new energy, we're encountering all of these different types of experiences. And in the beginning, it feels like the imagination. And that's normal. It's normal for it to feel imaginary at first because it's not tangible, because it's new. It's a new experience, all of these things. And, leaning into the discernment there and seeing the ramifications of how these things impact your life, is one of the discernment tools that I use, right? And just seeing the resonance, ripple out in my life, and realizing that, some of it could be my imagination, and being okay with that until I realize it's not, or until I realize it is. And once I do, then am I willing to let something go that that I've been playing with, because I've realized that it's actually just something that I've been concocting in a way, right? Or is it something that I'm going to integrate and bring deeper within my own being? And that's it's coming from a place of wounding creates that attachment. It creates that locking on to something, whereas if we're coming from a space of openness and coming from a space of openness and allowance, then when we encounter something and we are able to discern that it's not something that's actually real for us, then we can just let it go instead of deluding ourselves into thinking, oh no, this has to be real, this has to be my reality, all of these things, right? Because we're navigating completely uncharted waters in a lot of ways. We're forging this for ourselves. We're making this story real time as we live it. And so we have to be willing to let go of things that were shiny and beautiful and all of those things if we determine that it's not actually resonating in our life. If it's just existing and swirling around in our heads, then maybe it's worth letting go. So, the fantasist and the escapist are they're dancing together, and it's a subtle difference between the way that it manifests. And so I spent a lot of time here, really just feeling into what that difference is. And yeah, so thank you.
Thanks, Joshua, for that share. As I listen to my wonderful co-hosts unpack this topic of fantasy, I'm just getting floods of inspiration for how this word can play out so beautifully and magically. Like magical thinking, imagination, fantasy, they're both things that bring us powerful bliss, but also bring up powerful traumas. And we can always see how they're almost all made up, which brings this very crazy paradox into our reality about what our minds are creating and what we're experiencing. And, as we move into this area of being able to become more centered within ourselves, we start to realize that it is fantastical thinking to think that you need to reverse engineer yourself to one day climb back into your mother's womb to experience rebirth. But we've been giving these examples of how nature functions, and it's been showing us that for our rebirth requires this unlearning all of our programs and all of our false identities that have been placed upon us. And that's all just been fantasy, because we didn't come with that. That has been projected onto us. And so as we come into this room, this place of discernment, and to honor that we are still always in this game and playing these roles out that are, often the root of our trauma. And it's always very, very interesting because, we mentioned how leaving time for healing. I just thought about the same thing about what I heard Richard say about, that we don't let enlightenment catch up with us. We're always so busy that we don't let it catch up with us, which is almost the same as saying, like, the healing is already there. The bliss is already there. Everything is already here. But we just, it's this thing about giving it time, giving it the ability to dawn in our own reality and letting it catch up with us, which is a very beautiful analogy. Because as we contemplate further, and as we strip away all of these languages and boundaries and divisions, we see that the whole unity of everything has always been free. And we come through this whole process of liberation, and only to look back and to see that we've been free all the time. And this is, so what are we fantasizing here? Are we fantasizing our trauma, or are we fantasizing pure bliss where we're constantly in that? And it's like, often it's just a trick of the mind. I'm thinking about a scenario whereby I would be having some wrong done to me and having it not affect me. And I tend to whistle a lot. And just as a habit I got from my uncle, and I just go through my world whistling, and something really bad could happen to me, and I'll just start whistling, and people are like, why aren't you upset, or you should be angry at that? Why are you not angry? And I'm like, whoa, am I doing something? But it's not affecting me. And what am I fantasizing? Am I supposed to be fantasizing that I've been traumatized, or should I be fantasizing that it doesn't affect me at all? So this world of fantasy is just unpacking in this beautiful way in this reality that even that what we fantasize is often the things that we can call into our sphere as our true reality. And I'll leave it with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary and Joshua. So nice. I just wanted to pop in to say something about your whistling. like from where I'm from, as a place, they consider people who can whistle the most free ones. Like the whistling is a sign of liberation and being free. And of course, most of the people who are seen just whistling with no reason are thought to be a bit, cuckoo. Like, what is he whistling for? But at the same time, it's this freedom and liberation vibe they have. I just wanted to mention that, and so beautiful everything you said about this perspective. Or what are we actually fantasizing about? And I just remember while Joshua was sharing, you've sparkled a remembrance in me. I've read somewhere, I'm not sure where, something in the lines of magic is surrounding us always, just waits for us to refine our senses in order to enjoy it. And I've just realized, because you, Joshua, were speaking about the wound, so it's a kind of a cover of a charge on our senses. The wounding desensitizes us, and also Carrie was talking about the mind trips. The intellect also desensitizes our senses, and it just dropped the understanding of how I can actually enjoy this magical dimensions I was talking about, that I felt the longing for as a person who's grounded. Like the Jinky 19 came into my mind, into my field, that sensitivity who helps us actually to access the magic in our reality without it being a fantasy or an escape from something. Just to be there and refine the senses and the subtle senses to be able to enjoy it and also be part of it. So thank you for your sharing and the frequency you brought in.
Thank you to the three of you. Wow, so beautiful. So I see that we are like in the crown chakra. Oh, we are just flying there. And I also have felt while we were sharing about this, the archetype of line 6 in the Jinkies and in the human design. And it's like, wow, it's this. It's a quality, actually, it's a quality, this fantasizing and this traveling to different dimensions and timelines. It's a quality, actually, but the thing is, how do we manage to bring it to the center and to manifest it in this reality here in the body and in this life, So, wow, beautiful, so beautiful. I propose to go to the next one, the Savior. The Savior, or Richard calls this manifestation also the imposer, because it's this tendency to that are coming from a person who consider that his or her healing or readings or service saves you, and actually it's like an overcommitment. Actually, it's an over-keenness to help. It's an unstoppable manifestation of serving without limits, something like that, hours and hours and hours, and without even knowing. It is this trap again. Trap appears to like overcommit and to consider that your way of accessing information, of accessing the truth, of seeing the things are valid for everybody. And it's also very tricky because Richard gives this example. You may be tempted to consider that in a relationship, for example, you may convince, let's say, or convert the partner of the person who is your client, for example, and you want to offer also guidance and service because your intuition tells, or your guidance tells you also to your partner, because the partner does not want to convert himself or to come closer and to use or to step into the same path as your client. So it's like a never ending or not stoppable way of serving, and it started from a very positive intention, definitely. And it's very fine. Again, the line is very fine because you may not see that actually you become an imposer. You impose your way of seeing things and you exaggerate maybe with your service. And actually, as Richard explains very clearly, it may be a need, a human need actually, of that person for recognition. And wow, the impact of something like this may become, I don't know why, but now it comes to me, it may become dangerous even. And it's very subtle again. It's very subtle. And also it's not efficient because when you fall into that, it may make you lose the focus, definitely, lose resources, even maybe lose the main need addressed initially by the initial person, client. And it may actually make you go, how is it in English? I cannot find my words. It may take you out of your real path, real service. So, yes, I remember that I used to do that in the beginning when I discovered, let's call it spirituality, but when I discovered what's beyond the physical world. So I had this tendency to really explain to anybody how beautiful it is to know about chakras, for example, or about anything that I was discovering, and I was so in ecstasy, let's say, but of course I started to learn that no, it's not the way that the people need to receive guidance or listening or anything that they need. It's an exaggeration. So this is how I discovered that, for example, at least for myself, I was exaggerating. And I was exaggerating with things that I haven't had the patience to, let's express it like that, to discover them till the end. I was too at the beginning with those things. And I didn't have, at that time, the patience to integrate them, to embody them. I was too quick, too fast. I was, superficial at that moment. So I have learned a lot from that. In the beginning, I was suffering, seeing that some people were not receiving my very good intention. But of course, I started to learn and learn and learn. And maybe I'm still learning. So thank you so much. This is the opening of the Savior or Imposer. And I will pass it further to any of you who are on the stage to develop it more, to share more. And any of you who are in the room, please come and share from your experience and from your understandings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claudia. That was a beautiful introduction to that. For me, the Savior, the spiritual Savior, it comes down to one word, and for me, it's sovereignty. Because, as we are on our path and we're, making our discoveries and our integrations, and we're bringing things along into ourselves and we're growing, it's natural for us to want to share that with the people we love, and to share that with the people that we see that need, that could benefit from what insights we've gained along the way. And so the core difference between offering and coming in as the Savior is whether or not that sovereignty of their journey is being respected and being honored. And that is crucial. While we may have the exact answer to their exact question, their ability to receive it is their journey. It's their path. And it can be frustrating. It can be really frustrating to have the answer and see it not be received. And that's okay too. But I feel like the invitation here is to remember that revelation, that aha moment of somebody getting it for themselves, to live through the experience that allows them to feel that inspiration, to feel that integration, to feel that revelation, is something that we should not take from them. And the Savior wants to just give the answer, wants to just fix the problem, wants to just do all the things, but that takes away from that personal discovery. That feeling that comes with that revelation is what anchors it in to us as beings. If we're given information, that's handy. But if we have a revelation, that changes our lives. And so to just get in there and fix it is to take that away, and that is not respecting sovereignty. And when it really comes down to it, if you're offering something from your heart, there is no attachment. There's only compassion. And what they do with that is their gift. It's their choice. It's their journey. And it's always exactly right for them. And that's tricky because it may not be ours. But they're both right. They're both perfect. Thank you.
Maria, I'd like to welcome you to the stage. Thanks for joining us. You have the mic.
Thank you about this. I have a glitch in my internet, so I don't know if you're going to be able to listen to me clearly.
Now we listen well. In the beginning, it was a little bit unstable. Maybe if you can make the mic a little bit with a higher volume, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Okay,
Now it's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now I listen to you. Okay, okay.
The Savior shows up in my life as a mother that wants to, who has lived through many trials in life and has been able to survive all them and accumulate that knowledge, that wisdom, and wanted to avoid her kids to go through that, through the same pitfalls that she went through. That has a theme that it has been on my family constantly. And even when that mother, because of the limitations of expression in knowledge, that mother could not express that urging that to learn fast because she knew she has been going through all those things, and she wanted to save her kids to go through the same thing and repeat over and over her mistakes and the mistakes of the ones that she lives around. That was something that it was very, very notable while I was growing up. And I found the same thing, the same feeling in my educators, and the people who help us around. They have this urging to pass, to do something about, to evolve their kids so they would not repeat their mistakes. And so that is very, that theme comes to me as the Savior. That urging than the people who has gone through many trials in life has for their generations, their coming generations, don't go through the same thing. In other out of my culture of and in my culture. The devotion, it was at the devotion and commitment was very, very ingrained, not by force, but by example. And even when I see on my, I see like in my family was my first, the leadership that I had. I recognize it. It's not that it was there trying to force anything. It was not there to dominate anything. It was not a selfish. It was just to quench for the strength stronger in the family to take the leadership. And it was not imposed, it was just recognized by the rest of us. And we respect it. And sometimes it was not something that it was that we didn't like it at all. And we wanted to rebel against sometimes, but it was something that it was the genuinity of that. It was the sincerity with the actions were taken that we just couldn't overpower with rebellion, because it was sincere, it was truth. And my body has that knowledge of discovering when I even myself am not being truthful. And I guess that after I read a lot when I was little and still do, and I identify with several things without knowing what I was doing. And I acquired some knowledge of that, but it has been, that for me has been the Savior working that part that I have that I can feel that is working for the goodness of all. But people have not, a lot of the circumstances of all the people has been different. And I cannot really, I have judgment on my jinkies, but that judgment has been always more as discernment. It shows more as discernment. And so when I get through these lines, they just give me a kind of visual discernment about what they need, what they mean, and an opportunity for me to really express those things, and that thing that is inside of me, it is so real for me. It's truth for me. And most of the things that I have learned is just to give me a space in which I can express those things without having to use nobody else's experiences, because I believe that every experience that we have is so unique, and it has its wisdom, and it has its purpose from life. And because I went through all these breakthroughs in my health and my mental health, because I was worn out of taking too much responsibility. And so I just couldn't deal with all those things that I had been put on my responsibility, on my schedule of saving. But it was not as it was the same urging that I had to demonstrate something that I couldn't explain by words. And because I did have the limitation of the language to do it, I felt that my only way to do it would be just demonstrate it. And my frustration becomes when I start to understand that not everybody have the same awareness and the same weight of that there is too much on the words and too much of teaching and accumulating knowledge, but none of the a lot of those is not put in practice, and so maybe the Savior has come on me in ways of myself in my contemplation and devotion to the truth, devotion to something that is higher than my own construction, than my own way of express whatever I feel and whatever I perceive. In relation with the Savior is just this desire for people not to go through the same things that we went through, and avoid those pitfalls. And that's for me. That's for me love. That's for me what I had. It's not unconditionally to give and give. I learned to discern, just to give indiscriminately, without discrimination, because I have to discern now that sometimes with my help, or I can do more harm than help. And I have been trying this on my family and the members, but all of them are different, just like everybody else. So I had to learn to appreciate what is valuable on them and what they can see. But it's this frustration that comes, because then I have to go back all to the beginning, and to learn and to go back to the basis, and to the basis of being honest. That's one of my prayer. Then it's the 59 with the line 1. And the basis, all that I have in my Shinkies is just this line 1. But I'm very basic in everything. And I think that when we build our basis, just like the homes, just like the big constructions, we have to put the honesty from the beginning, the transparency from the beginning, so that building that we're going to construct, it has the basis to resist, to take the weight of whatever we're going to build on top of that. So that has been more of my Savior thing has been basic, very basic, strong honesty and transparency from the beginning. So we don't see all these things crumble all the time. The business crumble because there's not there to serve our highest purpose, is to serve something else or somebody else. It is the intention that we build something with. then he would make it so clear and so strong for years. That's the Savior that came to me. I am complete. Thank you very much.
Well, Maria, thank you for that amazing share. There is so much that came up for me on that, and how true it is that we as parents are born into this paradox of saviorhood, and as we guide our children forward in the truths that we have been, the revelations that have came to us through our upbringing and through our evolution, how we want to depart that wisdom onto our children. And yet throughout all of that, you know, our ceiling, our floor is their ceiling, and they're going to be searching for new refined truths that evolve through that which they've experienced through their evolution as children and through our guidance. These are very, very pertinent topics to be guiding our youth. It is very obvious that, you know, the youth will be one day in our government systems. Our youth will be becoming parents. Our youth will be running everything. And so it's our wisdom and it's our knowledge that we feel compelled to depart. However, it's also important that we have a lot of discernment in this reservation of allowing that truth to emerge on its own. And we know that in all healing processes and all knowledge and wisdom, it doesn't come through the outside, it comes from within. And it is not available to the participant of which we are departing truth to be able to absorb that until that fruit within them becomes available to even capture the essence of what we're sharing. And then there's that great discerning line where we are having to allow for that time and space for truth to emerge. I always like the phrase, truth has patience to wait, and it waits for the right environment for it to seed. And I love these analogies because they really are something that I always point back to further relax ourselves in this process, because these are all our feelings, our emotions, our situations are always changing and going through cycles constantly. There is sometimes a very good time to be a savior in the sense that we want to depart our wisdom, because there are moments in our lives when we are blossoming, when we are in a rapid growth state, when we have cultivated the seed and germinated and moved into this leaf growth, budding and flowering point. And this is a cycle that at some point when we bloom, we want it to be shown. We want it to be seen. We want our fragrance to enlighten the hearts of everyone around us. And sometimes we are deep in the ground and processing new things. So it's all a beautiful arrangement, and we don't need to be caught up in these labels of, you know, don't be a savior, or you are just trying, you know, there are different cycles in our lives where those things become very pronounced and they're very natural. The other, you know, we can't, it's very difficult for me to look at this word savior without the ushering in of the Christ consciousness and the Christ complex, because this is sort of the generalized identity with what a lot of faiths lean towards is the Savior himself, and how that is depicted in a beautiful way in all of our relating to the earth in terms of how we move on the planet in terms of being able to have our own sovereignty, like Joshua said, and finding our own truths. And, you know, the idea of the Gene Key 19 of sacrifice is, you know, there is that overlapping of the Savior element to that. And we can see how when we are in our authenticity, all of that shines through us. But when we become a little bit searching in the polarity, we become discombobulated. And then all of a sudden our Savior turns into an imposer. And, you know, this is coming back to, I have the EQ is my 19 and my SQ is the 20. So this is very prominent for me in the understanding of how presence, just staying the presence and staying present is almost all that is required. And I'm exploring a lot with this, just allowing this internal light shining through draws its own energy with it, and coming back to that one stable place that is non-changing, never changing, that is always that one place within that is unifies everything and understands that the more I heal that part within me and move back to that core being of which we all are, we are healing everything in every situation around us automatically. And often the words, often our descriptors, often our enthusiasm draws people into that darkness. And it is sometimes a good thing. However, sometimes it creates a lot of confusion and a lot of egotism in and of itself, in that, like, often the words mix that all up. So this point of waiting is a beautiful waiting for the other to ripen in what you have to deliver. I think that is a very important thing, so that we aren't drawing people more into their ego. And we're already healing everything through their own process. And I just think that this is a very beautiful thing to have as parents, to see that the truth is something that is always true in every situation, and it changes with our evolution. So thank you for that.
Real quick, just one more little thing that's dropped in just from listening to both of you, actually, is, for me, the key difference, let me say it a different way. It's completely possible to be a guide without being a savior. And the only difference is that lack of attachment to outcome and respect of sovereignty. That's all. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Maria. It was such a deep share, and I felt beyond your words, like all of your vitality and passion for life and for the well-being of others. And thank you for sharing that. And Carrie, it's really nice you've placed into perspective that thing of view of the parents towards the children, and of course that it's a role. It's a role that it's a special role, and it's very hard not to try to fix or save from that role. And Joshua, thank you for mentioning that, because I was just contemplating how would it be possible to guide and not save. And what dropped in for me is, as Mbali said, we are in the realm of the fifth line with the savior and fixer. It's of course it's a shadow side, but the fifth line is built on the fourth. So in what Maria shared, I could hear also the server, the being who is inclined to serve the higher good for all involved. And there is this path of when when our service becomes imposing, when our service, or is it still service if we impose it to others, and how to find this balance. And Carrie, you've touched a really beautiful point when you mentioned presence. And I found that when we are present with everything we are, with that essence, Maria, when you were talking about the foundation and the line one, I was hearing the essence of things. And when we are present with our essence, in the field of, whoever meets us and whoever is in our care, or whoever joins our fractal one way or another, uh, it's a kind of a facilitation, like we facilitate that revelation somehow that Joshua was talking about, without necessarily directing something, without necessarily imposing something, like just through our presence in our essence, we can facilitate the revelation. And thank you for all of your shares. It was so revealing for me. Thank you.
Deep thank you from my side as well. It's been so powerful and so deep, all the shares. And you, Maria, you did with us, it was like a conference, This is how I felt, that it was like a conference that you offered to us. So much wisdom, and also what I felt is your gentleness, your tenderness. And I want to thank you for that. And also I want to thank to the transmission. It's I learn continuously. Some topics, some themes, some experiences, some presences are vaster than we initially think or feel or consider, So today it was only about two of these representations of the spiritual ego. It was only about the fantasist and the savior, and maybe the narcissist. It invites us to just wait and to do it in 2 weeks, because it has been so deep. I don't know how you feel, how you all feel. And also you host feel, Joshua, Carrie, and of course Liana. In this moment I feel that we are complete, and that we need to, I need to definitely listen again this gathering of today, but also to let what came to just be embodied, and to receive it, to take it in, and to process even deeper, and to remain with what we have contemplated so far. And Maria, you have shared so many powerful ideas. One thing that I would like to take very shortly here is back to the basis, because yes, we have shared a lot about line 6, line 5, and yes, line 4, Liana, as you beautifully shared, and all the three are collective lines. And these archetypes are really teaching us a lot how to come to the center between serving the other and serving ourselves, actually, because the tendency in these archetypes of the collective lines is to serve to the others first, of course, and we forget about us. But then what you told to us, Maria, back to the basis, but back to line 1, and also back to the honesty of the 59, it's very powerful as well. So bring all this collective, the service to the collective, to bring it to being honest with oneself and see which are our resources. And also connecting ourselves with the quality and not with the quantity. And that is why the transmission today, I feel, that tells us all, no need to do all the 3 manifestations, do only 2, it's okay, it's enough. So yeah, I would invite for this depth, to remain in this depth and to contemplate further for a while. I want to thank you deeply to all of you, really, and to the space as well. I feel that the space today, always it's like this, but I feel today it's so, I don't know, so alive and so soft and so vast and so wise. And I want to thank you all. Today is Friday, is the day of Venus, and it's about love, as you said, Maria. And like Richard says, don't try to convince them. Love them. Love them. It's enough. And love yourself and love ourselves. And yeah, it's so beautiful. The weekend is coming. I wish you all to have a very beautiful weekend, peaceful and in harmony and with so much grace, in balance, without forcing anything, with so much joy and with so much quality in our life, and pausing, pausing, pausing. Yes, I love that, Joshua. I don't know how you did that with that beautiful heart just turning. So beautiful. So love to you all. I pass to you, Liana, and to each of you to say goodbye. And thank you to all of you who hold the space and just listen. Beautiful quality listening. And waiting for you in this space in 2 weeks at the same hour. Actually, it will be on March 24th. And then on March 26th, there will be a change in the hour. So take care for the following rooms to see the correct hour. And yes, let's enjoy life. Let's enjoy life and let's enjoy this ocean of love. Lots of love to all of you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Claudia, for beautifully wrapping up the space. Yeah, I totally agree. We'll move the spiritual narcissist. I think it will be in a good company in 2 weeks' time with a spiritual pleaser and tourist and comedian. And I really, really enjoyed and felt the beautiful quality of the field today. Thank you to everyone on the stage and around the stage, and to all your shares in the chat. It was really, really beautiful and alive, as Claudia was saying. And I wish you to a beautiful rest of the week and beautiful days until we meet again. Thank you. And thank you, the co-hosts, Claudia and Joshua and Carrie. It was really nice to be here with you.
Thank you all. Love you.
Lots of love and blessings to everybody. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. May light and love fill your day. Bye for now.
Just a few moments of silence as we used to, and after that, I will close the room. Bye, dears.